Hello, Man in Gray here with the Man in Gray book review. Today's book is Osebol, Voices from a Swedish Village by Marit Kapla, and translated from the Swedish by Peter Grace. It was published in 2021 by Penguin Books, and it's 804 pages long. Osebol is a tiny village in the north of Sweden that borders a big forest, and it was founded back in the early 20th century as a logging town. Lumbering was the big business. But when the lumbering business kind of faded away, so did the town. Today, only about 40 or 50 people remain in Osebol. Now, the author of this book, Marit Kapla, grew up in Osebol about 50 years ago, and then she went back to the town and interviewed all of the adults in the town or village that were willing to talk to her, and she recorded all of their interviews, and then basically took the transcripts of those interviews and made this book out of it. This book contains nothing but excerpts from the transcripts of all these interviews with people that lived in the town. There's no introduction, there's no descriptions of anything. It's just literally the words of the people in this small town. Now, it's over 800 pages, so it sounds intimidating to read, but actually that's deceptive because most of the pages only have a few sentences on them. I'll show you if I open this book up. It's really, the transcripts are really arranged kind of like poetry. They're done in kind of series of line breaks, as you can see here. There's really just a few sentences in each page, 2 or 3 paragraphs. Each page is an interview with a specific person in the town. And so if you were to condense all this down, it's probably only about 300 or 350 pages because most of it's blank paper, white space. But it does give the feel of kind of poetry as you're reading through this. And it's done in kind of a mosaic format. It jumps around from various people, and as you read through it, you kind of finally get, as you get toward the end, kind of get an image of what the village is like. There's basically two groups of people, two groups of adults that live in Osebol. There's the old-timers who've been there all along. They hung on even after the economy collapsed and found some way to survive fishing or doing some kind of odd jobs or whatever, or working in the elementary school that's there. So there's those people that have hung on because they don't want to move to the city. They love this small town and don't want to leave. And then the other group are younger people that have moved into Osebol from the city because they're sick of urban living and they want to get back to nature, and they love the forest and the whole environment of that. And so you got these two different groups of people that live side by side in this place. And then of course there's also the young people, the kids, who know that when they reach a certain age, they're going to have to leave because there just aren't any jobs available in Osebol. And so I relate to this a lot because I grew up on a farm, and I went to school in a small town that only had about 600 people living in it. And so I knew, just like everybody else did, that when I reached high school, when I finished high school, I was going to have to go somewhere else because there weren't any jobs there. There's a few people that I know that still managed to live there and managed to find some kind of work, but the majority of people that I grew up with are scattered after that. And so a lot of people, not just in Sweden, but a lot of people around the world that came from small towns know what this is like because small towns are depopulating worldwide. And that's basically the overall theme here is what happens to these small towns when all the people start leaving, when the economy changes and industries start to die. And so it's, even though it's set in Sweden, it has kind of universal appeal to it. There's some of the themes of it are universal. And some of these people's descriptions of their lives are really touching, the stories that they've gone through growing up in this small place where everybody knows everybody. And of course, that's one thing about living in a very small town is everybody knows everybody. And that's both an advantage and a disadvantage because you don't really have any privacy or anonymity, but if something happens, there's always people there to support you, right? People will rally around you when something bad happens. If you get sick with cancer, or if your house burns down, or something happens, there's always going to be, the neighbors will be there to support you. You don't get that, of course, in big cities. So if this sounds like something you'd be interested in, you might want to take a look at Osebol, and the author is Marit Kapla. This has been another Man in Gray book review. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.